What's going on YouTube? It's Pelfrey, and this is the Red Sea Reefer 250. And I almost had an incident happen in the house. The Tunze strong magnet is back there, and my middle child almost grabbed the dry side and the wet side. They weren't together, and these things have super strong magnets on it, so luckily I was paying attention. Whenever I turned around, I was like, no, don't touch the magnets there. Of course, she doesn't understand what a magnet is, but we narrowly avoided a smashed finger because it for sure would have smashed her finger. Real quick, down in the sump area, I just topped off the ATL reservoir. I haven't ran any floss in here for a while. I do have some cut, and I'm letting the microalgae grow as much as I can. I'm thinking about doing the Triton method, and if you know anything about the Triton method, which I didn't, I had to research it, they actually want this compartment to grow and actually kind of die off. And you can see where the Kalk has been dosing there. I need to pull these out and get those clean. So I'm letting this grow out, and hopefully some of it will die off. I mean, I've had great luck with this $30 light and this chaeto, however you want to say it. Things are a little bit dusty and dirty down here. The ATO, Tunze 3155 ATO has worked flawlessly since I've cleaned the sensor, knock on wood. And a couple questions I had was, would you do this board here if you had to do it all over again? And yes, I would, but I wouldn't put so much double-sided tape on here. I tried to take this out of the tank at one point with a flathead screwdriver, you can see here, and the leverage that I needed to use to try to pop that double-sided tape off was just too much, considering the tank was full. So it's stuck there until the tank is empty and I can take it out. Otherwise, it is what it is. I understand there's a kink here, and I do need to buy more tubing. I'm going to buy black tubing, but I'm thinking about upgrading this, this is the J-Cod 4000, and it's running at 100%. So I'm thinking about going up to the 8000 if I do the Triton method. So I'll redo the plumbing at that point, and I'll make this standpipe here shorter so that I can use the soft tubing and the metal clamps that nobody really likes to use there or whatever. This is some Citric. If you don't know what Citric is, it's a great biomedia, and I just have it in a bag there, clamped. And as you can see, I'm growing some wonderful microalgae on the return nozzle. Oh, I just dropped my screen in there. I also have some Citric in here, if you don't remember. These were acrylic rods that I had made, and that is Citric on here. So it's growing sponges and all kinds of fun stuff. There's quite a few of them in there, and I decided I have an overflow. Why not use it to my advantage? So another thing that I wanted to talk about was, obviously I cleaned the inside of the tank with the Tunze large scraper, but I also use this glass cleaner here, and if we can get a good look of it, and I just spray it on a microfiber towel out in the garage, and then I bring it in here and I wipe the glass down. But there's been a lot of talk on citric acid versus vinegar, and I've used citric acid before, but I bought it from Bulk Reef Supply, and I actually got 5 pounds off Amazon for $15. So I'm actually going to pull both of the power heads out. You can see them now, and I'll get pictures of them and video of them while they're out of the tank. But I'm going to pull them out and clean them in citric acid. I got to find out the formula, so how much citric acid to use versus water. But there's been it seems like a lot of discussion on vinegar versus citric acid, and I've always used vinegar. Always used vinegar. Never had an issue, but again, we can knock on wood because never say never. So yeah, I bought 5 pounds of it off of Amazon. I'll link that in the description below. What else is going on? What else is going on in here? Really, not much else that I can think of at the moment. So, Astrina stars. I've been talking to Scurvy, and he got a harlequin shrimp, and that thing has been demolishing the starfish in his tank. And I don't see. You can see one on the pump there. There's part of one on the back wall in the middle of the video there. There's one there in the middle of the screen. I don't see a lot of them, but just because you don't see a lot of them doesn't mean that they're not there. And quite frankly, I don't keep zoas. I never will keep zoas. I know I said never say never a minute ago, but zoanthids and me are just, it's not gonna happen. But I don't know what the real population is of the starfish. So at some point I may look at getting a harlequin shrimp in here and taking care of those pesky little astrina starfish. I mean, they do eat coralline, but the back of my tank, they're not touching it. So, you know, if they stay on the rocks, it is what it is. I don't really mind that so much. But yeah, the main subject of today is testing out some more citric acid. Again, I've used it before, and maybe I just didn't use it right. But, you know, this is with anything, home, kitchen, laundry, and bath. But I am going to use, you know, rubber gloves whenever I touch this stuff. I mean, it's... With vinegar, I just poured it in a bucket, put the pumps in there, whatever. But with this, I am going to use a little bit of extra caution. Got the pumps pulled out, and apparently it's like 1.5 cups to 2.5 gallons of water. So this is, I think, 2 gallons right here. You can see they're pretty filthy. I mean, there's coralline algae growing on there, and they could definitely use a good cleaning. So I'm going to put them in the bucket here and get 1.5 cups of this with some water, test it out. I got 1.5 cups of citric acid to approximately 2 gallons of water, and I was gonna just let it soak, but I do have these small power heads, and I'm gonna see if this one works or not. It may not even work. So let's just plug it in there, plug it in here. It does work, so you can see some of the filth already. So I'm just gonna let this aerate the water for about 20 or 30 minutes and then pull everything out and scrape it with a brush. So I think aerating it is the best solution. You can hear that pump is terribly loud. At this point, the Tunze pumps have been soaking for about 30 minutes now. I'm just gonna actually use the dry side magnet to try to hold this in place. Did a great job. So all I'm gonna do, bring everything over here to the sink, give it a brush down. Shouldn't take very long. I definitely don't want to lose these pieces into the sink. That's what keeps the vibration down on the pumps. But these weren't too dirty to begin with. So let's grab this bracket. This stuff should just fall right off of it, and it is. So I think I've got the formula right. 1.5 cups of citric acid to approximately 2 gallons of water. And I did use cold water, which is what I used whenever I used vinegar anyway. But I mean, these things are coming clean great. And this brush I got from Bulk Reef Supply, it's come in handy. I actually have a backup that I bought just in case something happens to this set that I have. It's got a big brush and a small brush. And the one thing to keep in mind here is I was running the pumps at a low speed anyway, and I may have to run them even lower now that they're going to be cleaned out. Anytime you clean a pump, I don't know how well you can hear me over the water here, but anytime you clean pumps like this and you get all the grime off of it, they're gonna work so much better. So I went through this with the Max Spec gyres. Every time I would clean them, I would have to run them at a lower percentage because, you know, whenever they were dirty and had the buildup on them, it would slow the speed of the pump down. And then as you cleaned them, you couldn't run, you know, at 60 or 70% in my tank because that was just too much, and running at 60 or 70% was just making up for all of the buildup that was on the pump. And I feel like I've done a better job over the last year or so of just keeping this equipment maintained and clean. And that's another reason why I wanted to go with Tunze pumps, because I know that I can neglect them and they're just going to keep on running. These things have an incredible history for reliability, and I didn't feel like I could go wrong picking the Tunze 6095, which is what these are. And they do have, you know, they do build up quite a bit in the tank, and that's fine. You know, coralline algae seems to grow on plastic pretty quickly for me. So I'm gonna finish up getting all of this stuff cleaned up here, and then we'll take a look at the pumps as they're cleaned. Overall, I'm thrilled with how the citric acid performed. Everything is spotless. This could probably use like a Q-tip or something down in the shaft here. But everything is spick and span. And again, I know that this has been a topic of conversation for a while, citric acid versus vinegar. And I think what brought light to this was there was a lot of Ecotech pumps that were, the magnets were expanding under vinegar. And I know that Fish of Hex just recently done a video on the PP20s, and one of them almost, I mean, it got so hot in the bucket he was running it in with vinegar that, you know, it expanded the bucket. So this has definitely been a hot topic. But for $15, see, I missed a spot there, which is no big deal. I can go back and get that. But for $15 on the citric acid, I think it's a no-brainer. That citric acid is gonna last me a long, long time. So I'm just gonna touch up a few of these parts here and throw them back in the tank. The Tunze pumps have been added back to the tank, and you can see I still missed a little bit right there, but everything's great. They're hooked back up in anti-sink mode, and we should be good there. So now what I'm going to do is I pulled out the 3 dosing tubes from the sump there with the kalkwasser on them, and then this return nozzle that is just overgrown with algae. And I'm going to soak this in some citric acid and see what happens. So that came off pretty good. So I'll just throw that away and soak the rest of it, get it cleaned up. 30 minutes in the citric acid and warm water. The dosing tubes here, which had kalkwasser build up on them, are clean. The algae that was growing on the return nozzle come off, but the coralline algae has not. So I'm just gonna soak it in there for a little bit longer and see if that comes off. I know with vinegar, it comes off pretty easy. So it may just take vinegar to clean that right there. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video off here, and I will update you all on the return nozzle. Be sure to check out the website at pelfrey.net. Check me out on Instagram at pelfreysreef. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.